Today, Tracy and I had the immense pleasure of sitting down with the Wheel of Time's production designer, Ondrej Nekvasil. Yes, this is our fangirl moment. He and his team are responsible for building the believable world of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series and bringing it to life visually. Before sitting down with Ondrej, we thought it was important to understand the role he plays in collaborating and creating reality from fantasy.
So as quick as we can, this is a list of the many responsibilities that fall under production designer. Set construction, props, set decorations, furnishing, objects on screen, practical lights, costumes to an extent, locations, scenic paintings, set blueprints, and graphics. And we know this is quite a list, but we want you to understand just how many pieces of the series he has personally touched.
He has his master's degree in film and stage design, is a lecturer, architect, and used his expertise to work on various films and movies. He is also an absolute joy to talk to, so thank you so much for joining us, Ondrej.
We just want to jump into the good stuff. So if you feel cool with that, we'll just jump into the questions.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes, for sure.
Yay.
Okay.
I love this. Amber, is it your question
Great.
first?
There's many cultures, and there's just this giant scope of world building in the Wheel of Time. And it's one of the things that I think that the fans of the series just really love about it because of how large it is. And as a production designer, how would you, for example, show maybe like the spirit or the culture of a nation visually when it's a fantasy culture?
In general, like what was very important for us when we started, even like thinking and even like I started with the researches for this show, was actually my first interview with Rafe Judkins, the showrunner, and when we discussed the style and the whole visual style of the show, and what we discussed and what was very important for me is that Rafe was always thinking about multi-ethnic cast there, and even like sometimes it's like okay, it looks it's kind of cool and it's like a kind of everybody's doing that, but in this case it wasn't just like okay, it's cool, let's do it. It was really like there was a kind of clear concept behind that, and the concept was like that word when we are in the word of Wheel of Time actually turn a few times, and if you are turning something for a few times, so people are mixing, changing together. So he said, like for me, the word of each city, it's mixed. It's like a American city or big Europe, like a London today, or like a New York today. So you have a street or neighborhood and in that neighborhood you have people from the different cultures living together, but they are creating the one culture together, which is the culture of the place. So what we said that we will not work with the ethnicity. We will not work like there's okay, in this city, all the city is actually Asian, or this is like an African city, or this is like a European city. We said like we will not follow this as a rule. But what we did follow is that actually that we said that every city has a kind of impact on all these cultures who came to that city and who built that city, actually kind of created their own world, which was driven by their culture, their tradition, their customs, and they actually built the world, mixing all these original cultures, which are like thousands of years ago it's happened. So, and also what was kind of important for me that this is like a fiction book, and if you are reading that book as a, let's say, girl in US, you can see everything like from your perspective. You can see everybody like your friend, and if you read the same book as a girl from Morocco, You see everything like from their perspective.
Yeah.
And you read the book like the girl in India, you can read the book like the girl, and suddenly like you have a different feeling how these spaces look like. So I said it a few times before, and I'm saying that because it was very important, that kind of key moment for us, that actually that ethnicity and the fact that we will not be focused on the ethnic in the story, but we will be focused on the cultures of different cities. And so it could happen that in a small village, there's like a multi-ethnic people living there, and the village is actually somewhere up there in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
It does make perfect sense for us, because that's the part of the wheel turning. That's the part of the whole concept. So it's okay. It's like the wheel is turning. People are mixing. Like the people from the different cities are meeting another people. So there's a kind of moment. And I know that as for many regions was like I saw some comments. It's like okay, two rivers. They said like they look all the same. Only Rand is different. But it's like, what does it mean all the same? Like we know that Rand is different, and it's kind of clear if you see the show. The Rand is different. There's no other guy around the two rivers who looks like Rand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But like it doesn't say that everybody has to be, I don't know, Croat or Slovenian or like it's actually the village is like it's a village with the different cultures, different backgrounds. People are mixed there, and they live there for years. So saying all of that about the cast and the way how Ray was thinking about the casting, and that was really months before even like a first person was casted it was really like I'm talking about January 2019, when we really start talking together about this show. And so what we did, that we always said, okay, where is that place? What are the materials which are there? What is like a background for these people, like what they can use as the materials? And after that, how did this kind of, let's talk about the two rivers, So you have mountains, and you have mountains villages, and you can have mountains villages from Alps to Andes to China to Japan, and everybody is actually dealing with the architecture and the details differently. But what is similar, they are using like wooden houses, they are using rocks, and they are using the timber structures. So all of that, we said like, okay, we put all this on one board. We said like, okay, these are like a key moments which we like for what we have. We like these wooden rooftops, so roofs are from the wood, like we can see in the mountains villages in Alps, for example.
Yeah.
And but the shape of the roof is actually Asia. So it's like it's not Alpine type of structures, because they are not like doing this curved roof.
Yeah.
And the details are actually, some of them are from China, and some of them are from like Russia. So it's really like that we put these cultures together, and we started with the fact, okay, that's the two rivers, and we put all these influences from all around the world. So the big research and big amount of pictures that we put on the boards, we kind of selected them into the key pictures, let's say key city pictures. That was a kind of like, okay, let's work with this. And after that, every art director and his team actually worked with these concepts. Okay, let's do it. So it's a mountain village. So what they have a forest. So they have a wood, they have a timber, and they do have rocks all around. So they can work with these like a timber and rock structures. They are very good with the leather piece. So there's there's a lot of skins. So they do work with the sheep. So they have a lot of work with the skins of the sheep and other animals which they are, because they are hunting the animals around the forest. So we use these kind of materials as a kind of base. Okay, they are using this, and culturally we kind of create our own mix of these cultures. We said, okay, this is the material, this is the shape, this is the detail, this is color. We had some painted glasses in the windows of the Wine Spring Inn, for example. And again,
Yes.
there was another detail which I don't remember from where was the detail, but we found some like a detailed painted glasses from some villages, mountain villages. I don't know now where exactly was that village from, but the same detail. They had that carved columns in the main Wine Spring Inn, which hold the whole roof structure. They had painted beams, So all these details came together that we said, okay, that's how they work there. That's when they go to the Breen Spring, which is that I don't know if they ever said that name in the story at the end, but there was that village, the mining village, where they were Rent and Matt are looking for the quiet place, and they are attacked by Dana. So it's again it's we went to these old mining cities in Klondike. We have some details which were really from these that they were painted details around the windows, which kind of came from the Canada. That inn with the 4 kings, they have 4 carved kings in front of the door, and this was really some place from Siberia when we found these kind of carved statues as a style, and our sculpture did these statues for us. So there was always these kind of influences from different places, and there was a lot of tents, that we did a basic structure tent. So it was okay, let's do it it's a kind of Klondike, but 1900, but also some other influences from the different places where they, the miners came and they built very simply basic city, and suddenly that inn is just really people are just drinking there. It's there's nothing Wine Spring Inn is the place where you want to go. You want to play some game with the friends. You want to stay there.
I do. Heck yeah.
And the Breen Spring is really that you want to go there, be drunk, and and fight, or there's no other reason to go into that place. We said that we would like to do the designs that we will be, and that's very hard to explain that, but we call it believable, which means that we will believe that somebody actually built that. So we are not and that's what I said that I don't want to do. And I said that to Rafe in my first interview. I said if you are looking for somebody who will do that huge CG work, and after the people will jump to the small set, I said I will not do that, because I don't trust these enormous towers, enormous structures which are completely out of any scale. And suddenly people are just walking around in some small room, because I don't believe that somebody will build something some kind of nonsense like that, which is out of any scale. So even our White Tower, and I can tell you now that White Tower has 40 or 50 versions. It's you can really do the wallpaper in one room only with the versions of White Tower, and. But at the end, we said it has to be something that we will believe that some culture actually built it. And we will believe that they were able to build it from stones, and they spent some time, and we know that people are people are able to build huge structures. For example, Notre Dame in Paris, when Paris was a really 14th century or 13th century Paris. There was just that island. There was a King's Palace, and there was a Sainte-Chapelle and Notre Dame. And both these places are completely out of any imagination. What is the 13th century about? You are looking for the Sainte-Chapelle now, and you are saying, how the hell they can build it? And it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the same is with the Notre Dame, which was completely out of any scale of that time. Now it's look like a normal church, but imagine that time there was really. So saying all of that is that I said I don't want to do the way that we will make we will create enormous visual effects that we will build the roof, the tower which will touch the sky or whatever, and after we will not believe that actually they live there and they use it there. So it's and there was the whole conversation about that, what is the scale, what is the way, how they live there. And this was kind of one of the crucial moments that we said, we have to believe that people are actually living in these rooms, in these spaces.
Yes.
And we have to believe there's some kind of way how to stay over there, how to live there. And we have to believe that there was a chance to build the structures like that.
Yes.
I
So I'm
think.
sorry. Yeah.
No,
Please
thank
don't
you.
apologize. That was
No.
wonderful.
I have a little bit of a follow-up question on Tarvalon because again, like this is one of these locations where like many of our listeners had just said, like this is absolutely like stunning. Some of these rooms that they've seen, and
Yes.
one of the questions was, since it's the hall of the tower where the Amerlin seat is with all of with all of the other Aja members and the sitters, it's this place of like incredible political power.
Yes.
And how did you kind of bring this idea of power into the room so that you can feel like these women are in charge?
Yeah.
So,
and this was actually a question from one of our listeners. So
there was a moment that we discussed with Raven that we said like it's what is important about the tower and the whole concept is that actually it's not the parliament, because like if you are all the Ajats, they have these three ladies like at the top of them, like at 3 blue, 3 green, 3 yellow.
yes.
All the colors are there, and there's a one which is a Amelin seat. So that's kind of important, to know that we have like a 7+1 places. And after that, we said, okay, let's do it like there'll be space for all the colors behind these seats, So we are saying, okay, there's 3 ladies in the 3 thrones, the blue color, and there'll be space behind them, some seats or some rows for other blue Ajats. And after we said, but it's not the parliament. They have to be. They are not like this. This doesn't work this way. But this is like the council. This is like at the head of the whole Ajat. And we said, but on the other hand, we have to give other Ajats to be involved and to be present if they want to be present. Which means that's how we kind of came with that concept that there's a place, that round place where we can fit these, as I said, 3 count 7, which is like 21 plus 1 Emerlin plus the 2 entrances, like a 1 for the people, 1 for the Emerlin.
Oh, interesting.
After that, we have the floor, and there is a 7th floor for each color. So you can have you can be together in each floor. You can be like a separate, but you have a 7 floors above that. So you have a ground floor for the for that council, and after that you have these floors above it. So it's not, and everybody could be present, and because it's a tube. We said, okay, this work like acoustically, so you can hear what's going on, and it's of course it will be much harder to make it physically, but in general it does work for us. And also was another idea which was kind of connected with the architecture of the again like a parliament buildings and stuff, that these windows which are all around are actually not facing outside. They are just like facing to another corridor which is around, and only that corridor is actually facing exterior. So we are saying that this hall is actually goes through these 8 floors, ground plus 7, but it's not like it doesn't have any window. So it's not like you have a view from the hall. It's like this is kind of like inside the tower is that hall, but instead of having the hall as a horizontal, we said let's do it vertical, because actually it has a vertical concept, the whole concept of Aes Sedai. So that was like that kind of, but we are saying that in case that they will call all Aes Sedai to the one hall, they can fit. And that's actually, that was the idea, that actually if you are say there's a 2,000 Aes Sedai, or 2,500, whatever, they can still that could be like a few hundred in each floor that they can fit, because the floor, these levels, they do have that space that actually the people can fit and can hear what's going on down there.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a kind of general concept. Of course, we had like a lot of versions how to discuss with the, how to work with the colors, because as per the books, it's a very colorful. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, it's always tricky, to work with the colors in the movie, because suddenly they are too strong and they are kind of beating everything. I work on the show called Nightfall about the Templars before, and as per the research, so many furniture in the king's quarters in the 14th and 17th century were so colorful, because the colorful meanings like a power, but it's very hard to use it so we said okay, the color will be present, but very in detail only, because and we did these colorful designs. We started with that the floor being like a swirl of the 7 colors, ending up with the flame of Tarvalon in the middle. We went through all this process, and we realized it's too much. It's too the color is actually how to say, stealing attention from the faces, and that's always the issue, of the production design, that if you have the shot and suddenly, let's say, there's a too strong color behind the face of the actor, the attention of the, public, audience is actually, okay, what is that color behind? And actually you have to be kind of settled in the way that that actually at the end the face of the actor is the most important, in a movie. So you don't want to do something which will actually beat it, and because if you are saying, okay, that's an interesting picture right behind you, it's not ideal situation, I guess. So.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? It's that moment of where we have a focus and where we are focused on.
I love that. I'm actually thinking right now of the shot that we get when Swan, the Amerlin, enters the hall of the tower, and it's just so grand and beautiful.
The cape.
Yeah, and that spiral, the shot that just pulls up, it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And it almost looks illustrated by the end of it, which makes me really think of the books. And I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I love that.
Yeah.
I just feel like once you get to the top of that, you're like, wow, those are the Aes Sedai. That is the Hall of the Tower. Yes. That's
really grand.
Felt. Yes, I think it's a gorgeous set design. Gorgeous.
Yeah, so we discuss these details, as for example, the columns and the pattern on the columns, inspired by some famous palaces in India, for example, and at the pattern, the way how we did the pattern on the windows. It's again it's kind of it's India and Persia. So there was a lot of mixtures, but we said there's an attention which was there when they built the space.
Yes.
And they didn't need these columns only for the to hold the structure, but they would like to give them the attention and detail. And that's the reason why there's quite a lot of details in these in these columns and the windows and all of that, saying that there was it wasn't just utilitarian, okay, let's build some big room and meet over there. It was really okay, let's make it with the with the detail, just the attention to all the details. And of course the costume of Amelie, we can say that she's she's pope of that community. whatever is her dress, it's something very important. The dress is actually ceremonial, okay, it's a ceremonial dress which she's wearing because she's not wearing that when she's sitting next to the fireplace after that, because it's a ceremonial thing. And you can see when she has all these 7 colors on on her shoulders. So all of that was a part of the concept of it's a ceremonial dress which she's using for these moments that there's a big audience, there's something to solve. There has to be that court established, and they have to decide what to do with Logain and all of that. And so she's taking that, but of course that's not how she's dressed normally, so. And that's I think nicely shown in when she's in her room, and she's completely relaxed in her, in her normal dress, exactly, because why she's wearing that, it doesn't make sense, when she's back in her room,
She wears it before she goes to bed.
Yes.
Just around in her room.
Yes.
No, I really we talk about the costumes a lot. We talk about the architecture a lot, and we talk about the detail of the show a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. And we frequently will just pause on certain things to be look at this, and where do you think the influence for this came from? This looks super like this thing over here. And it's just been it's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed it.
As I told you, that we are always starting, the first thing is that we know that there was, much smarter and more talented people before us around the world. And our goal is just to put it together, So we are starting with the very deep research, and there's our graphic team is actually doing the research of the patterns, we have a lot of patterns which are okay, let's use this pattern for the Tower Valon and for the White Tower, but if we are in Faldara, the pattern on the window is completely different than and it's actually that. And we bought all these books and research the patterns of Asia, pattern of Persia, pattern of Japan, pattern of China, and suddenly we kind of create our own vocabulary about each space, so. And that's very important thing, and also that you have an opportunity to work with talented team that they understand the position, and they it's they understand the importance to spend time on it and actually work on it, and actually one of our set designers said that he knows that there's a lot of things which are kind of out of focus or not visible at the end, because at the end is a lot of things is actually not in the shot, but sometimes you have something which really you spend weeks on it, and it's visible that is actually somebody spent the weeks on it. It's not just that frame with the picture which Ameline and Moraine, they have it in their rooms, and actually the guy who did that frame really spent a few weeks only designing, and actually after, because he designed it and because he's also very talented, he is able to carve the stuff from the wood. So what he did that, he actually made it after that we bought different details, different pattern from the metal stuff, and actually at the end he actually assembled the whole frame by himself. So it's really that moment that you have the team which is able to go it and understand what we are looking for, and actually improve all these ideas into the every single details, which is the best thing about this work, that if you are lucky and you are able to put that team together, and you have people who are interested in the show, they love the work, and they are actually able to improve every single idea into the upper level, because it's always a joy, I should say.
It's a joy to look at. It's a joy to watch.
It really, really is. I think you kind of just answered one of the questions that we had, which was like a huge focus for the design team, especially in a fantasy world setting, would be making the world feel believable. And I was curious, like, what are some of the touches you like to see in a production that make a scene feel believable to the audience? Like, are there certain directions where you're like, we need to do this because this is what's going to make it like pop for the person watching it?
Or like feel lived in, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's really if this was really visible on a screen, but for example, every interior has we just didn't put like a stuff into the room, like there was really like the life in it, like when we did a Thumb and Rand house, that was like a really, okay, they are doing this, they are doing that, and you will even like see it in the episode 8 this week, that there will be, you know, some moment that you will see that house again, and you will see, okay, there's a life in it. There's okay, they are doing this, they are doing that. Here's the kitchen area. They sleep over there. You know, they are like they do have these sheep. So they have a they are working with the skins as well. So that they have to deal with them. They have to store them somewhere. So it was more like that. We always said, okay, what's happening here? Or when we discussed the for example, Maureen has nothing in her room.
Yes.
That was like a really like a Maureen. Maureen doesn't care at all.
Nope.
No. But you see, compared to the Emmeline, and later on, that you will see how many details other Acidites they do have in their rooms, which is like a spoiler to the season 2, but in general,
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I mean, seriously, in the books, there are so many cool Aes Sedai rooms. I have one in particular that is my total favorite. I don't know if we're going to see it or not, but my fingers are crossed for it.
So, but, these kind of moments, okay, so as I said, a Moraine, she doesn't care. It's a bear, there's no life, no details, nothing, because nothing personal, because she's on the road. She doesn't care too much about, once she starts doing the journey, she really left everything behind, and there's she doesn't want to have the books or anything because she's on the journey and she's just moving forward, but on the other hand, when we went into the warders room, we said, okay, the guys, they are really soldiers. They do have these arms and swords and details, because they are interested about the fight and the different type of detail, armory and stuff. So we put these details over there, and of course he has his Forsaken same symbols over there. So he's he creates some small altar in his room, and that was something which was kind of important for us, that we were always trying to bring some details which tell us, okay, that's somebody lives here. It's not just that we are building the set because of the scene, but we are trying to build a world of the person who is there, So that's what we were trying to do. Even there was some episodes that were mostly on the road, that. Even for when we had a camp of the thinkers, we were always trying to bring okay, these guys are taking care about the food, these guys are playing, these guys are doing this. So it's always was together with our great set dressing and set deck team, we always discuss how to bring the life into it. And that was kind of the way that we said, okay, I can believe that this group of people actually exist, and I do believe they do have their very strong opinion. I do believe that they do have their kind of even from our point of view, kind of naive style of resistance, again, like a heavily armed white cloaks. They stand like,
With their
peaceful
arms
protesters.
locked. Yes.
But you can really believe that, because that's actually part of what they believe in. So they will not take guns or even like sticks from them, and they will not start fighting with them. Even they were like outnumbered.
Yes.
There was not so many white clocks. So these kind of small details of the life that was very important for us to bring into the life. And our great set decorator Beatrice, she always like a thing about, she's kind of inventing their own stories behind, which are completely non-visible on screen. But I hope that actually it's kind of giving that influence to the actors, and I that's what I believe in. Like that, actually, if the actor is there and he feel that there's something happening in that set, or that there's some kind of concept, it's actually giving him more to say, like a more comfortable place to act and be there, and actually really feel that where we are, what's going on, compared to the some green screen set, for example, like that, which it's actually kind of making that that you are walking between the green dots, and you are pretending there's a beautiful room over there. So that's something which it's I feel it's if I got that kind of feedback, feedback from the actors, that they really loved the set, or they told me that they really like to work in that set, because there was really they feel the atmosphere. It's really that I know that we did well, like for
when Stepan is touching when he has his altar with the carvings of the Forsaken, like you really feel like these are his, maybe something that he brought from his childhood, maybe one of the only things that he's really had with him, maybe. It's just it's great to see. And I have to say, that's probably one of those screens that many people have paused on to get a very close look at these wooden carvings, because they feel it might be very important. But it's just really amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah, even when Nynaeve is in the warder's quarters and she's like standing there by herself as Moraine and Lan leaves, like if you pause and you look at it, there's like a bathtub off to the side with like towels and stuff, and you're like, yeah, okay, I can see hanging out here and enjoying this. Like it's softly lit in a really beautiful way. Like there's just so much about it where like the exterior of what's happening is just like, it almost steals the scene sometimes.
The
I mean,
little
it does for me.
the little room outside of the tower where Moraine is having tea.
Oh my gosh.
I think me and Tracy, like our jaws hit the floor. We were looking at this scene and we were just like, this is so beautiful.
I want to go have tea there.
Yeah.
Can
I want to live in this world.
There? Is that a place that we can go have tea at, like for real?
No, it's a set, it's like but it still exists, like this place is still in the Tarvalon. And there was like really one of these moments that we said it was scripted as an interior, like a set on stage, and we said it would be much nicer to have it and build it as a part of our set of Tarvalon, and actually gave that kind of feeling that you have that room, and from that room you can oversee that that entrance to the Light Blessing Inn. But on the other hand, because it's an upper floor and she's kind of not facing the space, you don't have to notice that there's somebody in that space, So, and again, there was that moment that we said, like, okay, we have to, it's a little moment, but we have to bring these details, and I remember, like, really discussing that with the guys. There was just a small detail, like they did a pattern on the floor, and I said, I feel like that. Then they offer like some squares and I said, like, for this one, the squares will be a little bit boring. So let's spend the money and let's make something more intrigued than just the squares. And it's there, and it's just a little detail. It's like nobody actually can notice. And we had like a design of it, which was very similar, like the final shot. And after that, I got the message from Rosamund saying like, I really enjoyed the tea in this room. So
We did too.
Yeah. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was really beautiful.
Yeah, I've been considering making it like the screenshot on my desktop for my computer just because it's so pretty, and the costume design that they've used for Rosamund Pike and like both like the French influence and the more Eastern influence, and then in that room and she's sitting so still, and then you get like that face close up with those gorgeous earrings, and I'm just like, I love everything about this. Like it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. I think the last, no, it's not the last question. We have a question for you that's not on here because we would like you to help us with something. But this is kind of, so we geek out pretty hard about architecture stuff, as I mentioned earlier, and I looked over your bio and like how you started with architecture studies and then got a master's in TV and film design. Is that right?
No, actually, I finished architecture. I didn't like stop. I finished because I studied like a technical university with the focus on with the faculty of architecture. So I finished that, which is like I am actually by my education, I'm able to build the houses, and I did few projects of the family houses with my friends in the 90s. And after that, I studied film design as well, which was part of the, in Prague, there's a school called Academy of Music Arts, or also Academy of Performing Arts. That's actually exact translation of that name. And that school has 3 faculties, which is like a film faculty, theater faculty, and the music faculty. And the stage design was always only on the theater faculty, and it was always like a mix together with the theater because the film faculty is not big enough to have also production design as a part of it. So I studied there. So because I grew up in a theater because my father was a theater director, I was kind of okay. I will do architecture. I will do some stage design for the theaters and stuff like that. And I met with the world of the cinema, which I love, but I wasn't thinking about working for the cinema at the beginning. It's just like a happening that I had kind of opportunity to work on the project with my friend, which I like, and that's kind of first 10 years I was really bumping between the architecture, interior design, and stage design for the theaters and film design. And last 15 years, I'm focused entirely on the film design. And sometimes I'm lucky that I am doing also some theater designs as well.
That's so fun. I was just wondering, how does your past experience, having such an in-depth knowledge of architecture, affect how you look at and think about places in the show like Shadar Lagoth, Tarvalin, and Faldara?
Starting with the vision of the with the sketches of the Vice, I'm always like connecting these concepts with the layouts, and that's kind of thing which is part of the architecture studies. That I am always like imagine what could be the layout of the city. Again, I'm doing these drawings and the designs of that. That influence of architecture and the influence of having the big research of the history of architecture and the history of different styles. And actually my love is looking for the old architecture and old designs from all around the world. It's actually kind of visible on these designs. So it's a different than if I am only, not only, but if I am more like a illustrator or the background is different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was really, you know, very important that combination, as I said, like knowing how the cities works, how the you know, how was the history of the not only European cities but also some Asian cities, and how they work, how they were built, and again, like I mix it, you know, together. You know, as I said, like, you know, the Valon is actually Paris, you know, kind of on the hill, like that, you know, Paris, the island. In Paris, it's actually flat, but we said, okay, that the island in the middle of the river is actually on the top of the hill, and then let's say that everything, the whole city will fit on the island. So when we were looking for the river and for the environment, we said, okay, there's that large island can fit into it. That's how they built the old Paris. That actually there was that island in the middle of the Seine, and they built the whole thing, meaning the royal palace and the chapel and Notre Dame on one island. And we said, okay, this island will be bigger than Ile de Cité in Paris, and they will fit the whole city over there. I'm always thinking how to make, you know, how these things are connected. And I love maps, and I love, you know, like these old plans and all like the maps of the labyrinths and the stuff. And that's something which I hope we can show somehow in some of these designs. And I know sometimes it's funny because I'm like creating these maps of the environment, and director is looking for it. It's like, but we don't have a map in the script. And I said, like, no, this is not. This is not something which we will show in the script. This is like a really our map, like just to understand, you know, how does it work, you know, and that's we have this map of because of course, like the base for us is that original map from the books, you know, that's actually like which is showing us the whole world, and but after we are playing with these details, you know, so. You know, Val d'Ara is a combination of the, you know, again, like a fortress in Asia with the European fortress architecture of these like fortress towns, you know, like the towns which were built in the 16th and 17th century. And you can find them, a lot of them in France, in Germany, all around, you know, Central Europe, that they actually built the town which was fortress. And that was the thing, like how the whole Val d'Ara is built and how it's combined together, you know. And and the thing is that's how we were thinking, like, okay, what is very typical about these cities that they do have a kind of similar look because they build them, you know, as a fortress. They didn't build them as a city, so they don't have a streets with the different houses. They do have a streets with the houses, but they all look the same, like because they were built for the soldiers, you know, like and you know, combining all these like famous cities in France, in Germany, in Hungary, in Czech Republic, we kind of create the look of it, but also we kind of went up to Asia for the patterns, for the details, and for the overall look of that kind of plain with the city on the top of the hill, which is actually not the normal city, but it's a fortress, and it was built as a fortress. The whole thing was like really to build something which will protect the rest of the world from the whatever is coming from the blight, you know. So and from the borderland. So these things are, I should say, quite architecturally in my mind, you know. Like, and yes, that's something which. Maybe it's it's a part of that education which is still in me.
It's amazing.
Something very near to our hearts. I mean,
yep.
Oh,
go ahead.
Tracy, you had your photo that you wanted.
I have. We have one question for you.
We saw this structure in one of the episodes, and I think we spent maybe 20 minutes trying to figure out if it was a bridge or an aqueduct. And maybe you can tell us what it is.
It's this. This is what it is.
It was an aqueduct. And it's again it's again something which is connected with the education of the architect. Like that. Like that the bridge is not actually falling down like the bridge on the left top. Like so. But it was Aquaduct which was there, where it's the base of that picture is a Croatia. It's a Croatia, but inland side, the part which is not so non-touristic, because of course everybody's going there for coast.
The beach. Yeah.
Yes, this is really like a Croatia inland, and it's really close to the border with Bosnia. Actually, Bosnia is behind these hills, and I think it's a very tough. It's a very not I would say like a non-comfortable place to stay, because it's a very windy and very there's a strong wind over there. But there are like a beautiful vistas over there, and we said, okay, let's put there something that maybe there was some kind of aqueduct crossing that place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we really we sat here and we're like, what is that? Is it a bridge? Is it an aqueduct? Is it someone suggested in our Discord, or maybe it was on YouTube, that it might have been one of those taller train
like a
trestles.
viaduct.
Yeah. It could be as well, but in general, that we were discussing what could be there, and really, you can find these beautiful structures, all around Italy and in France as well. And we did a kind of research of all of that, and maybe they were trying to do a kind of not clearly if it's a train. It could be train as well, of course, but there was aqueduct was the idea for that.
You've solved the mystery for us.
Thank you. Yeah, it was. We were like, what is it? Yeah. So, and I mean, that's really honestly one of the things, because I mean, we've both read the entire series. We've been working on our podcast for a year and a half, and we've been thrilled with the show. It's been so fun to see the adaptations and to have it feel real and surprising, and certain places feel like little love notes to the book readers. I'm thinking of the skyscrapers. Is that episode 1 where they have the large spires, and they look like skyscrapers, and you think different time period, what time are we in here? What has happened? And it's just so good. So good.
It's always the discussion where we can touch that as I said, at that moment of the wheel is turning, and something what was there actually disappear. But there are some reminders, and even people staying there or living there, they don't care too much because it's there. And but we don't want to go, and I think that was a kind of clear. We don't want to go with okay, now we will see the Statue of Liberty, or that.
Right.
We don't want to go this way. That's for sure. But we are saying, okay, there was some culture which was able to build these tall houses, but there was that culture was replaced by another culture, and after that, that city vanished. There was this culture which was able to build that huge aqueduct, which was crossing miles, and it actually again vanished there. Mm-hmm. So and of course, it's not our culture, but it's very similar to our culture. Okay, it looks like the city which I maybe not been in, but it's not the city, and we are not we are not trying to show, okay, that's definitely capital, or that's definitely a Eiffel Tower, or definitely Acropolis or something. We are saying, okay, there was some kind of structure there which is now gone, and maybe there was a city, and in that city they were able to build the houses which were 30 floor high, and these small details, sometimes they can get through sometimes. And of course, as a lot of people actually mentioned, that even I will be more happy if each episode will be a little bit longer, and actually because the thing is that and that's actually a normal process, sometimes even 5 minutes of the episode can tell you more stories, there's but we have to accept the rules, of the Amazon, that they actually would like to fit it into the same time. I said, because originally I was hoping, okay, let's say if this episode is long enough for 65, let's make it 65. But this is definitely not my decision. It's just like I know that there was a scene which is not in the final cut, which was really good, and which was really moving forward to some stuff, which wasn't like the key stuff, but it wasn't bad, for audience to understand the connections, the word. And I think there was something which was really, it's a part of it, okay, that you wanna fit the episode, but I was hoping that they let us do or not me, but the producers who are cutting or doing the final edit, that they will let them do, okay, this episode will be 63 and this episode will be 62 and this will be 65 minutes long. And in this case, if something is kind of a little bit longer, it can fit. But this is, of course, completely, above my level. So it's but I can just tell you that there was more.
Yeah.
It's and there's just even a few lines of dialogues can move forward more for me, and it's actually not there because it couldn't fit into the time slot. So yes, that's always the part of it, that you wanna say so much, you wanna show so much, you wanna, I will be more lucky if we more happy if we will spend more than only one episode in Green Spring, in the North Green Spring, in the Two Rivers, because to be honest, in that village there was so many live details. We saw every single home, that we had much more to tell about Matt, and that shed when he lived with his family. Then we had a story of Nynaeve, and we saw the interior of a Nynaeve house. There's a lot of details which didn't make it through because they didn't fit into it, and of course that I'm sorry for that, but on the other hand, that's actually a rule that that we have to follow, in a way that if it's too long, or if they are concerned it will be too long and maybe boring for somebody to watch it. I don't know. It's really. I just know that some of these scenes can help to the audience to understand some details which are not 100% clear. But as I said, this is completely out of my range.
Yeah.
We understand.
Is there anything you're looking forward to as the series progresses?
We are now working on the season 2, and I couldn't tell you anything, only this, that we are working on season 2.
Understandable.
But I hope that we will actually introduce new cities and new places, and I hope that they will bring another layers and another perspectives and another angles to the world. And I hope that the second season will actually improve what we started in the first one, so that we are moving forward, seeing more stuff, seeing more places, and traveling around our world. And also there's a big improvement of the characters, and that's something which I feel is very, very important on the second season. And the fact that you will be kind of touch with the different stories, with the different backgrounds of the stories and all of that. So that's and regarding really production design, as I said, we are still continuing bringing new world, new places into this world of Wheel of Time, and I hope this will work all together as a new discoveries. What else is in that world? What we know, that there's a Valon now, but we don't know the other cities. And we will introduce few of them in the.
We are very much looking forward to it.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yeah. I'm really excited about the second season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really like that. I hope that this will work together, like as you just said about that attention to the details. I hope that audience will find that maybe these little step-in idols will appear in the second season in a completely different
Ooh.
context, and all of that is actually kind of connected. Maybe the dagger, which Matt steal from the Shadow Logos, will have another purpose later on, and all of that stuff is actually kind of these details which are it's like that moment is like when you have Perrin walking through the Faldera, and it's like it was a Paran Fein,
Yeah.
here. So there's a lot of these details, like those of these model, like are you sure that was that guy? And later on you will realize that there was some story behind that. And of course, like adaptation is not everybody, like if you are reading the book first and after you see that it's always like a different, it's like always like okay, you can imagine that could be like a 3 episode in the Two Rivers before it's attacked, like because you want to see more of that life, because there's so many descriptions of what's happening there. And I was like really sorry that we spent only 1 episode over there. But on the other hand, like you understand that writers are actually trying to make it, to fit it into these 8 hours, and that's the rule of that the series, and what you are able to show and what you have to kind of unfortunately cut, because of course everybody has a favorite beat, character or favorite moment, and suddenly that character will not make it into the books, but into the film or into the series.
Do you have a favorite character?
Technically, it's Moraine for me.
Okay.
And also it's Matt, because it's actually Matt is like a Matt is not perfect at all, and Matt has his weaknesses and his darknesses, but he's a at the end very strong and very powerful guy at the end. But the fact that he's actually not the perfect guy, not the guy who's and he has these kind of very, very weak moment in what he's doing. It's actually kind of giving it you can feel like, okay, that's the guy I can follow, because that's very similar.
Matt is my guy. Yeah. Like when it comes to favorite characters in the book series, he's like one of my top guys. I just love him. Yeah.
But I didn't have anything else, Tracy, unless you did.
No, I have nothing. I mean, I have pages of things I could talk to you about if it were like just let's hang out and talk this. However, out of respect for all of our time, I think I am totally satisfied with today, overjoyed, to be honest.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your time with us. It was really great.
I would like to say the one last thing I would like to really say, because it's very important for me, that, and I mentioned it before, I have a very good team on this, I think an excellent team of the talented people on this show. And it's really from the art directors, set designers, set decorator, prop master, and all these guys, and model makers, sculptors, painters, graphic designers. And I'm so honored that I am able to work with them on this show, because it's actually they do a really great job, and they are still even I know that sometimes I'm annoying, asking them for more versions or more updates. And but they are really great, because my work is very much connected with the team, and I'm lucky that I was able to put together a really great team on this show, and that the team is actually working on the second season as well, which is really good news for so many people for me. And that's really giving us the chance to improve what we started on the first season.
That's
Well,
fantastic.
please send them our gratitude. And the
Yes.
fans are just really impressed with
Yeah.
how everything looks. And it's really a wonderful world that you've created for us. So
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.